the wildfire, so you can buff your generated Reckless Apprentice for Font of Power and then kill all the glowflies. It's perfect. I know it comes at the cost of 2 combustions and a flame strike, which are really good in the matchup, but I mean, okay, enough joking. We are in the matchup. blitzchung once again on the coin with the glowfly swarm and the soul of the forest. This already feels like the left card is an auto keep. I'm not sure about the rest, but blitzchung says nature studies good enough. I can get the glowflies turn 4.
Yeah, it's just that awkward anti-synergy between the reduction in cost from your next spell, thanks to nature studies, and having to play Lightning Bloom first.
Is this card just called Font of Varden? Every single Font of Power has given Varden Dawn Grasp, which is excellent in the Token Druid matchup. Perhaps not as good as Reckless Apprentice and Raz, but if you manage to get yourself in a situation where you're on board and then Druid plays a bunch of Glowflies, you can threaten counter-lethal with a timely Varden.
Yeah, I mean, this was a way above average Font of Power here. Being able to get multiple ways to spend all your mana at the start. Like you said, it wasn't the dream because it doesn't give him the absolute insta-win cards. But it's still very, very strong. It allows him to curve out, trade with these boards at the start, and then buys him, at the very least, an extra turn thanks to Varden.
As for blitzchung, the Thorn Growth is just business as usual, just putting things in the way while he sets up for what is likely to be Hero Power into Nature Studies to get Glowfly for turn 4. Oh, an additional devolving.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit too strong. Like, a Pexist is obviously tempting, but your opponent has kept 2 cards in their starting hand, which definitely implies either fungal next turn or gibbling / glowfly swarm. So I think some kind of a push onto the board is expected in the next couple of turns.
I think Shaxy should value any removal piece, even though devolving needs support to go along with it to be true removal, very highly, because he's not running much of it in the base deck. But it could be that he's just saying, whatever blitzchung does next turn, I'm going to spring water into minions and then just follow up with a Pexis Blast. And he's just going full aggro.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different approach to the matchup. You can either say, I'll prepare for the worst but expect the best, or you can say, if the worst does come, I'm just going to lose instantly. So I'm not even going to think about the worst and just live in the world where the best possible outcome happens, which honestly is reasonable, at least as a philosophy, if you are so far behind in the matchup.
Didn't get to see what the card blitzchung guessed wrong on was, but it's very hard to guess when the card costs 2 because most of the deck is 2 drops to begin with. If he plays Phoenix now, it feels like it wakes up a little bit late. And also not late enough that it's the Mask on Curve turn. So I am a fan of just Thalnos.
Yeah, 100%. I just like anything that lets him tempo aggressively at this point. Maximum minions on the board so that you can start trading if they do play Glowfly.
It's insane that Mage just has 4 minions into the Glowfly turn. You never see this.
One of them
but
gets
the pounce blitzchung picked up is pretty good, at least, so he can clear the spell damage, at least.
Although I guess he could consider saving it and just put this first Glowfly down as bait.
That's fair. Also, like, spell damage doesn't actually help that much for this shape of board because Shaxy's not running Shooting Star, right? So his best clear into this is Combustion, which already deals with 3 2/2s without the spell damage involved. So if he pounces, it might actually go into the 3-1, unless he's afraid of, like, specifically Raz generated by Font of Power, which I don't think you play around.
Yeah, I mean, if they have Raz, you have lost the game. You don't need to worry about that, because even the second Glowfly won't be able to pull you back then.
So he is just going to kill off the minion that can trade down one of the Glowflies by itself. And this is the situation that Shaxy... Well, he took the Pexis Blast knowing that this was a possibility. It's not to say that devolving was strictly better here, but it would have allowed him to take some value trades, the devolving.
So just as an idea... You can't just go Varden, Astromancer, and aggro here, can you? It's not quite close enough for the win. But Shaxy is kind of setting up for that next turn, I think, because he is just ignoring this board completely and saying, have at it. Oh, but he's just dead!
He's just dead!
What?
Blitzchung is the CEO of drawing the timeliest Arbor Ups.
And honestly, for Shaxy here, Arbor Up was exactly 28 damage, right? It used to be with Savage Roar that it was exact lethal because the hero could attack. So he was alive in the vast majority of circumstances. And honestly, I think that was probably his best win condition. I liked the play from Shaxy, even though it was the one that instantly lost him the game.
I hadn't responded yet to what you said about Varden because I was still trying to figure out the math on that. Because if he had gone Varden Solarian, that was another 6 power on board, and he had 3 to begin with, +1 spell damage, and a fireball in hand. So maybe it wasn't quite there, but with certain top decks, it could have been. Like if he had gotten like Ruined Orb, say, off the top. I'm not exactly sure. It's hard to parse, and obviously all of that loses to Lunar Eclipse. But even if it was just Arbor Up and not immediate lethal, he was in a very bad spot, right? Blitzchung just trades down most of this and then has lethal threaten the next turn, so I don't know.
It was a tough spot, because I think if you work it out, if you just go for the Varden plus Solarian line, like you could have hit lethal with +2 spell damage, effectively getting 4 with the Fireball and Ruined Orb that was in hand. But the problem is then that if they just hero power down the Thalnos, you lose a lot of that damage, plus they gain the 1 armor from that. And so I think he might have been just short of getting the 2-turn lethal there. And this way he went for, he had obviously the likelihood that he didn't just die, and he also had the out of just getting a big taunt to protect him, a rush minion as well. The question is really, should he have traded the 1/1s away to keep him alive against exactly that?
Definitely many crossroads. And thinking about it again, I guess if he wasn't exactly dead there, then he was at 28, and then the Varden is pretty much lethal by that point. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to give Shaxy and you the benefit of the doubt on that one. But despite it not working out this time, he's got to put it at the back of his mind because we are on to game 2, and Blitzchung has double Gibberling and the Glowfly and the Fungal Fortunes.
Oh, okay. I was going to say we're into game 2, but it's over already. Not the case. Now we have a game. The timing of this Phoenix is obviously of the utmost importance, however, and it looks like you want to play it next turn, right? Not this turn, so it wakes up into turn 5.
That's so sick! I mean, it's also disgusting because Blitzchung can't play around Dormant.
Yeah.
And so if he hasn't built a board before turn 5, Shaxy just kind of wins.
Everyone's a winner.
But he can build the board next turn.
He can. Yep, he can build a board in multiple different ways if he wanted to. Oh my goodness.
Oh! So if you go Lightning Bloom with the Glowfly, it's... Okay, never mind. I guess he doesn't even want to necessarily be overloaded, or he just wants to get Power of the Wild immediately.
Yeah, it definitely looks that way, because the problem with Glowfly is if you wanted to get down the Power of the World on the same turn, you needed to overload, which would have made it so that you can't play Arbor Up on the following turn if you top deck that, or Soul of the Forest, or Prize Fury. Like, there are 6 very, very good top decks that he can now play next turn.
Very true. Looking at his immediate hand, I did think the Glowfly was better, but you are right in accounting for what Blitzchung can get off the top to make this even more punishing. And Shaxy just has Combustion for this.
Mm-hmm.
Job done.
Taking off the most immediate damage instead of the 1/1 spell burst. I wonder if that makes Blitzchung smell that something is up. Not that he can play around it very well, can he?
Like, Blitzchung here had the absolute nuts. You should just win this game. If you draw like this, you deserve the win because you're just better. But it was the nuts. It's the one outer here, realistically, for Shaxy. And
look at
honestly,
Shaxy's face. Look at his smug little smile.
It's insta game winning. This is how you beat Blitzchung. You play even more disgustingly than him.
I can't look, Daruk. This is just... I haven't rolled this high as Mage. Blitzchung is nodding. Wow, nothing can phase this man. That's a Giga Tilter. And he's just like, okay, next.
I mean, he's won 9 series of Hearthstone in a row with this Druid. I think this was owed to from the universe at this point.
You can actually make Glowfly into Pride's Fury immediately this turn, which means everything has 5 health, which is not immediately dead to Raz. Obviously, he's still in a terrible spot, and we can see this Devolving Missiles pretty much truly ends the game. But, yeah. Oh, okay. So Lunar first, you get 1 less Glowfly, but you remove the spell damage. Probably just a lot better.
No, it's just wrong. You can go... You could just play the... Well, you could play the Lunar Eclipse before the Pride's Fury, right? Rather than before the Glowfly Storm. You just have 1 less Glowfly here.
Right, so it's supposed to be Glowfly, then Bloom, Lunar...
Correct.
Prides, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter. He's lost the game anyway.
Yeah.
But it still is a slight misordering there, which, honestly, I'm kind of I'm doubting myself, because blitzchung has just played this deck without any technical errors at all for 2 straight weeks.
You do. I just assumed it was immediately correct as well.
But yeah, there we go.
Maybe he is tilted, Derek.
Maybe.
He just doesn't show it.
Yep, that looks good. Wormweaver looks good. Everything looks good.
Yeah, he won the game 2 turns ago. We already know it. Shaxy knows it. blitzchung knows it. They're just doing their due diligence. And we are going to game 3, which, again, everybody on the primary, blitzchung has not played a single game of secondary or tertiary in 2 weeks of specialist, and he's gone all the way to the maximum amount of games or series played on top of that.
Okay, I mean, you say it's over. He did just get Arbor up off the top, which, with the Sungill, is like the best thing he could get here.
I feel like he's probably just dead this turn.
Okay, the Flame Strike does end this instead, but there was the hint of maybe coming back there.
Fair. But even if it wasn't Flame Strike, right? Basically, any spell on the 3/3s, and then you have gigantic mana worms.
Yeah. And blitzchung does lay it down now. It was, I don't know, maybe the hint of something coming together, and if anyone could get it done, it would be blitzchung. But Shaxy, you got the nuts there, and we're going to game 3 now for all the marbles this week. So some exciting games back and forth with the Token Druid and the Mage. 2 of like the most toxic decks in the metagame, honestly, but still the most fun to watch at times.
Yeah, I have been playing a toxic deck, haven't I? I just accepted it. Clearly, Shaxy got the best possible outcome of not only Primordial Studies, but the font in terms of how they synergize together, which happens once in a blue moon versus Druid. The next game, I hope we get to see maybe somewhere in the middle for both of these decks, where the Druid doesn't immediately get the Glowfly into Arbor up lethal, but the Mage also doesn't get Raz with spell damage. Who knows, Derek?
Who knows, indeed. And I mean, I am hardly one to judge you for playing this kind of deck. I think I hit like rank 3 with Evolve Shaman when that came back from the Doom and the Tomb coming back, which was as toxic as you can possibly get, but it was still a lot of fun. But now for blitzchung and for Shaxy, as I was saying, all coming down to this. I don't expect anything different from this game in terms of primary, secondary. It is for Shaxy just that secondary list of the... Oh wait, he has switched over. I was assuming that he would just stick on the primary, but taking a look at the list, he switched over to the Ice Barrier Deck of Lunacy Deep Freeze variant, and we didn't even realize because he didn't draw any of the cards.
Oh, interesting. Deep Freeze, I would think, is for like weapon. You don't even survive that long against Weapon Rogue. I don't know what this is for. Deck of Lunacy. We were seeing Possessy throw that in the mulligan, even like just last series. So
yeah,
not sure. I also feel like Massive Cthulhu is at least decent in the matchup, but we'll see.
All right, Phoenix again. Step 1 of the plan is in action. Wrong 1 mana spell for step 2, but you know, we're still looking for Raz.
More importantly, it's a way to get the Cram Session for more value, but without Encanter's Flow, Cram Session honestly feels very slow. Whatever you get off of it might not be enough to stave off the boards from blitzchung, and he has drawn into the first Gibberling as well as Fungal Fortunes, so... Oh, step 2? Oh, he got Observer though.
Yeah, Observer's pretty sick. Again, the timing on all of this is a bit awkward because now the Phoenix is going to wake up on the turn where he wants to play the Observer anyway. Which, I mean, again, I guess you're probably playing Cram Session anyway that turn because you just need the card draw even more, but it's not clean on this turn.
Speaking of not clean, for blitzchung is definitely looking for some way to set up Gibberling board here so he can go coin Arbor up next turn, but you don't actually get that many Gibberlings without using the coin. So he could set up for Gibberlings into Pride's Fury instead, and then just Arbor up the turn after.
I think I like just going for Lunar Eclipse plus Thorn Growth here. You get enough on the board. You could forego the Lunar Eclipse, obviously, to guarantee yourself a way to clear the Phoenix next turn, which does make sense. But the heart of the play is still there. You're putting down a decent-sized board to set up for more powerful swings with the Fungal, Arbor plus Solar later on.
I do agree that the Gibberling needed to come down this turn alongside the Thorn Growth, because just 2 minions and 1 gets immediately traded down kind of means he has nothing to immediately buff for the next turn if he had not played Gibberling. Looks like Shaxy is just going to take the overdraw here.
Right.
He's got the Lunacy. I guess it doesn't matter. I know that can't be the play next turn. He cannot afford to spend 4 mana on that. Can he?
It might be, honestly. He's losing this game. Again, the Flame Strike is still feeling a long ways away, so if you just go Lunacy Brain Freeze or Lunacy Devolving, I could see that being correct.
And blitzchung is going to go for the double Power of the Wild this turn, so Devolving already has to be a consideration to begin with.
Yeah, now that you're facing down this, like if it was a weak turn from blitzchung, I would very much consider the deck of Lunacy. This, I think, is too much. You cannot be just leaving this on board.
He just doesn't have the answers. Like, he would not have drawn a useful card, but he's just dead.
I guess he's just dead. Yeah, he needs to hope for a miracle here.
Oh, that's unlucky, and my brother can confirm. 7 minions on board and 2 missiles hit the same minion. Arbor up is lethal. I'm not going to count.
Yep. Just going to be game. Deck of Lunacy gave it a good shot, but it is the way the matchup often goes.
Oh my gosh. That's the most sarcastic I've ever heard you, Derek.
Well, no, I mean, there it is. Blitzchung is our 2-week-in-a-row champion. Not only 2 times, but back-to-back winner here with the Token Druid. 10 series in a row that he has won with this Token Druid. He's just the specialist king.
Can we really even call it that? Because he's only played 1 deck, not the primary, not the secondary, not the tertiary. He's just been on the primary every single game. So it's a whole new format that blitzchung has invented. It's not specialist, it is single deck. 30, it's ladder without switching anything. It's everyone.
This is true specialist. You specialize in 1 deck, you never switch, you play it well, you draw the good cards, and you win 2 weeks in a row. Absolutely unstoppable, which skyrockets him